What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 192 of the Idiotic Sports Talk. I'm your host, Liam Gavin, coming to you live from my bedroom. And today I want to give you all the Week 6 recap around the NFL. So a lot of things happened. There's no more undefeated teams. The undefeated teams fell as the underdogs rose. And just so much other drama in action. So make sure you tune in case you missed anything. We'll start with Thursday. The Chiefs beat the Broncos 19-8. Mahomes 306 passing, a touchdown, one pick. Travis Kelce, 9 catches for 124, and Kadarius Toney had a touchdown catch. As for Russell Wilson of the Broncos, 95 passing, 1 touchdown and 2 picks, and Courtland Sutton had a touchdown catch. So the Chiefs get their 5th straight win, and they move to 5-1. They now won 16 straight against their divisional rival, and the Chiefs' offense only had 1 touchdown in the game as they had to settle for field goals. Harrison Butker was 4 for 4 for 12 points. And their offense finished with 402 yards. They ran for 96, and their defense had 4 sacks, 2 picks, and 1 fumble. They only allowed 8 points, held the Broncos under 220 yards. The Broncos offense hasn't been this bad this season, but this game, they reverted back to them old selves of last season. They had 210 total yards with 3 turnovers. The running game was good, but Russell Wilson's passing game was awful. He didn't even throw for 100 yards and also had 2 interceptions. The Denver defense actually showed up this game. They've been really bad this year, but this past Thursday, they looked like they did last year. They had 2 sacks and 1 pick, and although the Chiefs moved the ball against them, they kept them out of the end zone, and the 3 turnovers by the offense just didn't help the defense at all. Kansas City would get a short field, and the defense was the reason why Kansas City dropped 40 on them when they could have easily turned those touchdowns to field goals. Broncos continue to struggle. They fall to 1-5. The Sunday games will go to the one in London. Ravens beat the Titans 24-16. Lamar, 223 passing, a touchdown, 1 pick. The rookie, Zay Flowers, 6 catches, 50 yards, and a score. As for Ryan Tannehill, he had 76 passing yards, no touchdowns, and a pick, and he left the game in the third quarter with an ankle injury. Derrick Henry, 97 rushing yards, and a touchdown. So the Ravens moved to 4-2 with the win across the pond. Baltimore led 18-3 at halftime, but some big runs by Derrick Henry along with big penalties by the Baltimore defense made it an 18-13 game to end the third quarter. Lamar and company didn't get flustered though. They got 2 field goals and helped them get the win. The offense had 363 yards. They went 8 for 16 on third down, which is 50%, and they ran the ball for 139. The defense had 6 sacks, an interception, and only gave up 16 points. They also didn't allow 300 or more yards, as the Tennessee offense struggled yet again, 279 yards, 1 for 9 on third down. They ran for 129 but couldn't pass the ball, as they had 150 passing yards between 2 quarterbacks. And Tannehill left with the ankle injury, so in comes second-year player Malik Willis, and he wasn't that great either. In the third quarter, Tennessee started with 2 good drives after being down 18-13 to 18-3 to make it 18-13. They were moving the ball until Tannehill is picked off, which led to a Baltimore field goal. Also, when the Ravens led 15-13 with under 10 seconds to go in the first half, the Tennessee punt returner muffed a punt, leading to a Justin Tucker field goal with 1 second left to put the Ravens on top. Justin Tucker, speaking of him, he went 6 for 6 from field goals, accounted for the 18 Ravens points. And 2 miscues by Tennessee essentially costed them a win. Tennessee defense had a sack, a pick, but no help from their offense, and they now go to 2-4. The next game, Dolphins beat the Panthers 42-21. Tua Tagovailoa, 262 passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Tyreek Hill, 6 catches, 163 and a touchdown. Raheem Mostert, 115 rushing yards, 2 scores and a receiving touchdown. And Jalen Waddle, 7 catches, 51 yards and a touchdown. The rookie Bryce Young of the Panthers, 217 passing, a touchdown, no picks. Adam Thielen, 11 catches for 115 and a touchdown. Chuba Hubbard, 88 rushing yards and a touchdown. So the Finns get a blowout win and move to 5-1. Their offense does it again with 424 total yards and 6 total touchdowns. The run game did really good again. They had 162 yards total with 3 rushing scores. And their defense, no turnovers, but they had 4 sacks. And they only gave up 14 points. As for the Panthers offense, 332 total yards, ran for 108, didn't turn the ball over. However, they had an early 14-0 lead, but was outscored 42-7 after. And they also went 0 for 4 on fourth down. The rookie QB, Bryce Young, he played good in my opinion. He finally didn't turn the ball over in a game. And the Panthers defense had a bad day. They had no sacks. They had 1 pick, which was from the Dolphins backup QB, Mike White, and they allowed 400 plus yards. They also gave up 42 points, failed to stop the run, and sadly for the Panthers, they're the only winless team in the league at 0-6. Texans beat the Saints 20-13. The rookie C.J. Stroud, 199 passing, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Dalton Schultz, the tight end, 4 catches, 61 yards and a touchdown. And Nico Collins, 4 catches for 80 yards. As for Derek Carr of the Saints, he had 353 passing, a touchdown and a pick. Chris Olave, 7 catches for 96 yards. And Rashid Shaheed had 2 catches, 85 yards and a touchdown. The Texans get a win and improve to 3-3. Their offense had 319 yards, ran for $120. The rookie QB, C.J. Stroud, threw his first interception of his career, but the Saints defender fumbled it on the return, which gave Stroud the ball back. He responds with a touchdown. The defense, they did give up 400-plus yards, but they had 2 sacks, 1 interception, and allowed 13 points. The Saints offense with 446 yards and 89 rushing yards, yet they struggled on 4th down in the red zone. With a chance to tie the game in the 4th, they went 0 for 2. The Saints defense had 2 sacks and 1 pick. But like I said before, that interception that was fumbled on the return set the Texans up nicely as the Texans wound up scoring. The rookie kicker, Blake Group, I can't really pronounce it. He also missed 2 critical field goals that could have given them the win. Saints fall to 3-3. The next game, the Commanders beat the Falcons 24-16. Sam Howell, 153 passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Curtis Samuel with a touchdown catch, and Terry McLaurin, 6 catches for 81 yards. As for Desmond Ridder, 307 passing, 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. Drake London, 9 catches for $125, and the tight end Kyle Pitts catches a touchdown. So the Commanders snapped their 3-game losing streak and are now 3-3. Their offense only had 223 yards. They had 151 passing and 72 rushing, but they didn't turn the ball over. Sam Howell played pretty well. He had 3 touchdowns to 3 different receivers, and the defense helped the offense out with 3 sacks and 3 interceptions. The Falcons offense had 413 yards with 106 rushing, but 3 interceptions and going 1 for 3 on 4th down really hurt them. The 1 interception led to 7 points for the Commanders, and the 1 failed 4th down attempt also gave 7 points for the Commanders. So that's 14 points due to Falcons' miscues. Atlanta defense had 5 sacks, allowed less than 225 yards, but couldn't turn the ball over. It also didn't help the defense that Desmond Ridder was out there throwing interceptions. Falcons are now 3-3. The Jags beat the Colts 37-20. Trevor Lawrence, 181 passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Travis Etienne had 2 rushing scores on the afternoon, and Christian Kirk with a touchdown catch. Gardner Minshew of the Colts, 329 passing, a touchdown, 3 picks, and 1 fumble. Michael Pittman Jr., 9 catches for 109 yards, and Zach Moss with a touchdown run. So the Jags sweep their division rival on the season. They get their 3rd straight win. They go to 4-2. The Jags offense had 266 yards and ran the ball for 85 of them. But they didn't need to light it up offensively as their defense was able to cook. Their defense had 3 sacks, 3 picks, and 1 fumble. The Jags are starting to hit their stride after the 1-2 start. As for the Colts, they had 373 yards, but they couldn't run the ball. They only had 44 rushing yards. Minshew was awful against his former team. He had 4 total turnovers, and 3 of those 4 turnovers led to 21 points for the Jags. The Colts defense had 3 sacks, 1 pick. They didn't give up many yards, but they were always faced with a short field due to the interceptions and turnovers by Minshew. The Colts go to 3-3. Next, the Bengals beat the Seahawks 17-13. Joe Burrow, 185 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. 1 pick. Tyler Boyd with a touchdown catch, and Jamar Chase, 6 catches for 80 yards. As for Geno Smith of the Seahawks, 323 passing, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Kenneth Walker with a rushing touchdown, and Tyler Lockett, 6 catches for 94 yards. So the Bengals get to 500 for the first time this season with a 3-3 record. Their offense only had 231 yards, and they couldn't run the ball again with just 46 yards, but their defense played very solid. Although the defense gave up 400 yards, they had 4 sacks, 2 interceptions. They gave up 13 points. Amazing red zone defense as well. As for the Hawks, they had 400 yards total, ran for 87. However, they struggled in the red zone. They couldn't score. Geno threw a pick in the end zone. They were 0 for 2 on 4th down in the red zone. That could have won the game. They had 2 chances to win the game, just couldn't convert on those 4th downs. The Seahawks defense had 3 sacks, 1 pick, and didn't give up many yards, but they had multiple costly penalties to give the Bengals new life. Seahawks are now 3-2. The Vikings beat the Bears 19-13. Kirk Cousins 181 passing, a touchdown, no picks, and a fumble. The rookie Jordan Addison with a touchdown catch. TJ Hockenson, the tight end, 6 catches for 50 yards. Justin Fields of the Bears threw for 58 yards and a pick. He left the game in the third quarter with a thumb injury. So in comes the rookie backup, Tyson Baggett. I can't really pronounce it. But he had 83 passing yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. He had a rushing touchdown and a fumble. And DJ Moore had 5 catches for 51 yards. So this game I thought was going to be high scoring, but the Vikings win in a low scoring game. They beat their division rival to move to 2-4. Their offense wasn't special. They only had 227 yards. They couldn't run the ball, just 46 yards. They also went 2 for 13 on third down. They had 12 first downs and just 25 minutes for time of possession. But their defense showed up this time. Their defense finally made noise this season. 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, and a fumble 6. The Bears offense with 303 yards. They ran great. They ran for 162, but they had 4 total turnovers in the game, which really hurt their chances to win. The passing game really was what struggled. I know Fields got hurt, but he wasn't playing that great to begin with, so I don't know if it really would have made a difference if he stayed in. So the rookie quarterback, Tyson Baggett, steps in, and he struggled as well. He was thrown to the fire. The Bears still had a chance to win, but they just couldn't avoid turning the ball over, and they now fall to 1-5. The next game, the Browns beat the Niners 19-17. PJ Walker, 192, no touchdowns, 2 picks. Amari Cooper, 4 catches for 108, and Kareem Hunt with a rushing score. Brock Purdy of the Niners, 125 passing, a touchdown and a pick. Christian McCaffrey with a receiving touchdown. So the Browns get a huge upset without their starting quarterback, Deshaun Watson, to go to 3-2. They take out the undefeated 49ers. It was a very good low-scoring defensive battle. The opening drive results in a Niners touchdown. The Browns' first offensive drive, they move the ball, but then they get picked off by Fred Warner. The Niners would miss a field goal, so the Browns was able to bounce back from that. The offense responds, though, by missing a field goal of their own. The Niners would wind up punting after a 3-and-out. The Browns would do the same thing. The following offensive drive, the Browns quarterback, PJ Walker, hits Amari Cooper for a big play, which led to a touchdown. And the Niners would lead 10-7, because I forgot to mention that the Niners were up 10-0 after getting a field goal. The Niners moved the ball with Purdy, but he's sacked and fumbled. They were able to get it back, but it took them out of field goal range. So the Niners will lead 10-7 at halftime. The Browns start the third quarter great. PJ Walker is still hitting Amari Cooper for a big play again. They also ran the ball very efficiently, which got them to a field goal. The game is tied at 10 apiece. The first offensive pass for the Niners in the second half results in a Brock Purdy interception. The Niners are able to get a sack against the Browns offense, though, and the Browns have to punt the ball away. But the Browns defense get a sack to force a punt against the Niners, which leads to a field goal for the Browns, and they lead 13-10. So in the fourth quarter, Brock Purdy would overthrow a wide receiver, Niners punt, Browns get the ball back, and unfortunately, PJ Walker throws his second pick of the day. The Niners get a short field. They capitalize with a touchdown to lead 17-13. With 11 minutes left, the Browns offense respond with running a big 4th and 4 conversion. It leads to a field goal, and suddenly they are down just 17-16. The 49ers punt right away, though. The Browns' run game gets going, results in a field goal and a 19-17 lead with just 1:40 left. Brandon Ayuk makes some big plays for the Niners, brings them down to the Browns' 20-yard line, and with 4 seconds remaining, the Niners go to kick a field goal, and it's missed. It's a 41-yard field goal missed, and what a game. I think this was, honestly, the game of the week. You just look at what happened. The Niners were undefeated, 5-0. The Browns, with a backup quarterback, no touchdowns, but had 2 picks, and they still take down the Niners. The Browns offense, 352 yards, 160 rushing. The Browns defense had 3 sacks, 1 pick, held the Niners to just 17 points and under 250 yards. So the defense had themselves a hell of a game. They had the offenses back. The Browns beat the Niners at their own game. The Niners like to run heavy. They play really good defense, and the Browns just outsmarted them. The 49ers offense with just 228 yards and 108 rushing yards. Purdy lost his first regular game of his career. He had a 15 regular season game win streak snapped. The Niners defense had a good game. They had 2 sacks, 2 picks, but they couldn't stop Cleveland's run game. Beating the Cowboys last week, just to lose to the Niners, or just to lose to Cleveland, really makes me smile, puts a smile on my face. And now the Niners are no longer unbeaten. They're 5-1. Next, the Raiders beat the Patriots 21-17. Jimmy G, 162 passing, a touchdown, a pick against his former team. He had to leave, though, with a back injury, so in comes Brian Hoyer, who was also a former Patriot, 102 passing, a touchdown, and no interceptions. And then Jacoby Myers. He was also a former Patriot, 5 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. As for Mac Jones of the Patriots, 200 passing, no touchdowns, and a pick. Zeke Elliott with a rushing touchdown, and Kendrick Bourne, 10 catches for 89 yards. So the Raiders get to 500 with a 3-3 record. Their offense, 348 yards, ran for 84. The defense had 4 sacks, 1 pick, and 1 safety. And a bunch of former Patriots players get a win against their former team as they are now current Raiders. The head coach, Josh McDaniels, a 6-time Super Bowl champ as the Patriots offensive coordinator. Jimmy G, a 2-time Super Bowl champ with the Patriots as a backup. Brian Hoyer's a Super Bowl champ as a Patriots backup. And Jacoby Myers, former Patriots wide receiver from 2019 to 2022. Ironic, because last year when he was on the Patriots, he cost them a game against the Raiders where he had a lateral pass and tried throwing it back with the game tied, and it was wound up a fumble, and Chandler Jones scoops it and runs it in for the game-winning touchdown. But the Patriots decide to let him go, and of course he balls out against them as a Raider, so it's safe to say all 4 of those guys got revenge. The Pats offense struggled again, 283 yards. They ran for 83 of those yards, and Mac Jones has 3 straight games with no touchdowns, and he also has 5 interceptions within those 3 games. The defense did have an interception, but they didn't get any sacks. They couldn't get any pressure on Jimmy G or Brian Hoyer. And 10 penalties for 79 yards really hurt them, especially because Zeke Elliott had a big rushing touchdown that was called back. Bill Belichick is beaten by his former protege, Josh McDaniels. And the Patriots, with 4 straight losses, they fall to 1-5. The Lions beat the Bucs 20-6. Jared Goff, 253 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 12 catches, 124 and a touchdown. Jamison Williams with a touchdown catch. Baker Mayfield, 206 passing, no touchdowns, and 1 pick. And Chris Godwin, 6 catches for 77 yards. So the Lions stay hot and they move to 5-1. The run game was absent with just 40 yards, but out of the Lions' 393 yards, they were able to really sling the ball with Jared Goff. That's what helped them get a win. They were 9 of 16 on 3rd down. The defense did its job, a sack, a pick, didn't allow a touchdown, and only gave up 6 points. The Lions look legit and scary. Their head coach, Dan Campbell, has those guys working hard. So the Bucs come back from their bye week and looked flat. The offense just 252 yards and no touchdowns at all. The run game was lackluster. Just like Detroit's run game, the Bucs ran for 46 yards, and Baker just couldn't get it done with his arm, unlike Goff, who could. The Bucs defense, 3 sacks, no turnovers, but also no help from the offense. The Bucs are now 3-2. The Rams beat the Cardinals 26-9. Matt Stafford, 226 passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Kyron Williams, 158 rushing and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp, 7 catches for 148 and a touchdown. As for Josh Dobbs of the Cardinals, 235 passing, no touchdowns, 1 pick, 1 fumble. And Trey McBride, 4 catches for 62 yards. So the Rams get to 3-3 with a win against their division rival. The offense, 405 total yards, and the run game went off for 179 yards. The offense also had no turnovers and outscored the Cardinals 20-0 in the second half. The defense had 2 sacks, an interception, a fumble, and only allowed 9 points. As for the Cardinals offense, 365 total yards, as 130 of those were rushing, but they couldn't score a touchdown. They got in the red zone quite a few times, had to settle for field goals instead. Josh Dobbs also had 2 turnovers, leading to 10 points for the Rams. The defense had 3 sacks, but couldn't turn the ball over and gave up 400 yards. The defense also got ran over, and also no one in that secondary could cover Cooper Kupp. The Cardinals now drop to 1-5. The next game is the Jets beating the Eagles 20-14. Zach Wilson, 186 passing, no touchdowns, no picks. Breece Hall, a rushing score, and Garrett Wilson, 8 catches for 90 yards. Jalen Hurts of the Eagles, 280 passing, 1 touchdown, 3 picks, and 1 rushing score. A.J. Brown, 7 catches for 131, and DeAndre Swift had a receiving touchdown and fumbled the ball. The Jets get to 500 with a 3-3 record, and they take out the undefeated Eagles. For the first time in Jets history, they beat the Philadelphia Eagles and are now 1-12 against them all time. And I told you that the Jets were going to win this game. I knew it. As for their offense, they didn't really light it up, just 275 yards with 89 rushing yards, and they were 2-11 on third down, but most importantly, no turnovers. Zach Wilson didn't light it up either, but he managed the game good and made no mistakes. The defense was on fire, 2 sacks, 3 picks, 1 fumble, and the play of the game was when the Jets were down 14-12 at the 2-minute warning. The Eagles had a 3rd and 9 at midfield. Hurts is picked off by the safety Tay Adams, who returns it to the Eagles' 10-yard line. The next play, Breece Hall punches it in, followed by a Zach Wilson 2-point conversion to Cobb, and that gave the Jets a 20-14 lead with 2 minutes left in the game. I thought to myself, oh man, I hope the Jets didn't score too quickly, but it didn't matter because the Jets defense makes a huge pass breakup on 4th and 8 with 1:20 to go, which sealed the victory. And thank you, Jets, Jets. As a Cowboys fan, you guys beat the Eagles. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all. And this win could really save the Jets season. It could turn their whole season around. They have the bye week, and they have an easy schedule after that. As for the Eagles, their offense, 360 total yards, but they had 4 turnovers. They're known for running the ball, but they just had 80 rushing yards in this game. The defense had 5 sacks, but they couldn't force a turnover. And last week, Eagles fans were talking a whole bunch of trash to me, saying Dak Prescott threw 3 picks against the Niners. But this week, their quarterback had 3 interceptions, and one of them sealed the game for the Jets. And those 3 interceptions all came against the Jets without their 2 best corners, Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. They were out and inactive. And it reminds me of if the Eagles fans can just remind me what Dak Prescott did to that healthy Jets defense, because I'd love to know. As for the Eagles, though, they're no longer undefeated, thankfully. They go to 5-1, and there's no undefeated teams left in the NFL right now. The next game is the Bills beating the Giants 14-9. Josh Allen, 169 passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Stephon Diggs, 10 catches for 100 yards. Tyrod Taylor, the Giants, 200 yards passing, no touchdowns, no picks. And Saquon Barkley, 93 rushing yards. So the Bills avoid the upset and get to 4-2. The Bills' offense didn't start off good. Gabe Davis had a fumble on the opening drive. They missed a field goal. Josh Allen threw a pick, and they had 0 points at the first half. But in the second half, they got going and outscored the Giants 14-3. The offense had 297 total yards and ran for 128. The Bills' defense couldn't turn the ball over, but they had 2 sacks and only allowed 9 points. And as for the Giants, they were close to getting the upset, and the head coach, Brian Dable, who was the former Bills offensive coordinator, almost got his revenge. The Giants' offense had 332 yards. Barkley was back, so they ran pretty well. They ran for 132, but the offense also didn't turn the ball over. They got into the red zone plenty of times, but didn't get any touchdowns. They had to get field goals, and the 1 goal line trip before the first half was very brutal. They had the ball in the Bills 1. They tried to run Barkley. He stuffed. There's 10 seconds left. They have no timeouts, and they couldn't spike the ball to try to get a field goal attempt. So that was just, that must have really pissed any Giants fans off. I mean, I was laughing, but yeah, if you're a Giants fan, not good. And then the last play of the game in the red zone, they have the ball on the Bills 1 yard line again. There's 2 seconds left. The pass is incomplete to Darren Waller. It looked like a penalty. It might have been, but whatever. It happens, right? It was a tough way to lose, though, if you're the Giants. And speaking of Tyrod Taylor, he filled in for the injured Daniel Jones, and he did good against his former team. He didn't throw any touchdowns, but he also didn't turn the ball over. The New York Giants defense, no sacks, but they had a pick, a fumble, and held Buffalo to under 300 yards with just 14 points. The Giants lost their 4th straight game, though, and fall to 1-5. The final game of the week is the Monday Night Football game, where my Cowboys beat the Chargers 20-17. Dak Prescott, 272 passing, a touchdown, no interceptions, and a rushing score. CeeDee Lamb, 7 catches for 117. And Brandon Cooks catches his first touchdown as a Cowboy. As for Justin Herbert, 227 passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Keenan Allen, 7 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. And the tight end Gerald Everett with a touchdown catch. So in the game where the Cowboys had 11 penalties for 89 yards, they fight through the adversity and go to 4-2. This game was very stressful. It really was. It was more stressful than it needed to be. The most stressful was when the Dallas punt returner, Kayvon Turpin, was blocked into, was pushed. He was blocked into by his own teammate. The ball bounces and Jalen Tolbert tries to run and get the ball. and he fumbles it, and the Chargers recover with great field position, and they score to tie the game at 17-17 with just a little less than half of the quarter to go, a little bit of less than half the game to go. Mike McCarthy also had some really terrible clock management too, especially towards the end of the first half. It just seems like he wasn't confident out there calling plays. And as for the run game, they had 96 yards and they struggled at times, and the wide receivers had a lot of drops. 2 touchdowns were dropped by Michael Gallup. He also had multiple drops as well. CeeDee Lamb was pretty much the only one who showed up out of those wide receivers, and then Brandon Cooks did towards the end of the game. But despite all that, the offense had 368 yards with no turnovers. Dak played really solid, 2 total touchdowns, no turnovers. He finally used his legs. He ran a touchdown in, and then on 3rd and 11, this was a play in the game. He avoids a sack and hits Tony Pollard for a 65-yard receiving reception. They almost got in the end zone, but luckily, not luckily, but you know what I'm saying. They almost got in the end zone, but it was just a huge play overall. The defense wasn't special for 58 and a half minutes, but in the final minute and a half of the game, Michael Parsons gets the only sack for Dallas, and then that sets up the only Cowboys interception as Stephon Gilmore picks it off and steals the game. The defense stepped up when it mattered most, down the stretch, in the clutch. They also stopped the run very well, and they allowed less than 300 yards against a good Chargers offense. Now they head into a much-needed bye week at 4-2. I said they needed to go 4-2 headed into the bye, and they did. Chargers returned from their bye week. Speaking of bye weeks, they looked good at times, but they had their really, really bad moments. They had 280 offensive yards, and they couldn't run the ball, just 53 running yards, and they were just very bad on 3rd down. Herbert was overthrowing a lot of his receivers, and I thought the defense played well, 5 sacks, but they couldn't create a turnover at all. And the former Cowboys offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, who's now the current offensive coordinator for the Chargers, will not get his revenge against his former team. Chargers moved to 2-3. So that's it for the Week 6 recap around the NFL. Let me know what your guys' favorite game was, least favorite game. Just give me some feedback. Remember to hit the subscribe button on this YouTube channel. Follow me on my Instagram. Take care and have a wonderful night.